What is going on, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice Pacers. Guys, Indiana Pacers win another game, their first in February. A very tightly contested game against the Atlanta Hawks back at home. Guys, this was a game that went right down to the wire. The Pacers, when it mattered the most, able to come out with the victory. And this had trap game written all over it. The Hawks came in with only 22 wins and 26 losses on the season. So a game that you felt like could potentially, if the Pacers weren't careful, get away from them. And Indiana started off very hot in this game. Scored 40 points in that first quarter, hopped out to a 40-24 lead. And then from that second quarter on, the Hawks came storming back, scored 40. The Pacers only scored 28. And then really from there, it was a back and forth type of game. Pacers and Hawks continuing to shoot very well in this game. They actually scored the same amount of points in the third quarter, and Indiana only scored one more point in the fourth quarter over Atlanta. So, yes, it was a very tightly contested game throughout. Both teams shot very well, and both teams, I think, kept this very competitive. And a win that definitely was ugly for Indiana. This wasn't a team, the Hawks, that's going to be seriously competing, but you're going to have those nights, man, where you really have to play, through some bad basketball on your own terms and come out with some ugly victories. And this was one of those games. Atlanta kept fighting. Credit to them. They kept fighting throughout the course of this game. They kept it interesting. Trae Young is absolutely outstanding. And the Hawks kept it very interesting right down until the end of this game, where Indiana able to pull away there and secure the victory. So, yeah, credit to the Hawks, man. Absolute credit to the Hawks. It was a tough game. Atlanta would not go away no matter how much Indiana scored. Atlanta would come right back and respond to that. So credit to them, but also credit to the Pacers on winning this type of game, right? Because how many times last year did we see Indiana against these teams that were not very good at all crumble when it mattered the most, right? And not be able to win ugly when they needed to win ugly. I mean, we know that they can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anybody in the East, but when it comes down to playing these games against these teams that aren't playoff teams, and they are having games where, real frankly, they don't have anything to lose at this point, right? And they come out and they play some of their best basketball all year against you. And how do you respond to that? And I think Indiana, while certainly they did have their struggles in this game, I do think when it mattered the most, the Pacers showed that they can find ways to win, even if it's not always pretty, right? And that is super important. I mean, how many times do you see teams that find ways to lose? Indiana did not do that. They keep finding ways to win. Now Indiana continues to progress up in the Eastern standings. Now in the new year, the Indiana Pacers are 11-2 since the start of 2025. So definitely out to a strong start, no doubt about that. And like I mentioned, both of these teams shot extremely well in this game. Indiana shot 54%, Atlanta shot 50%. Atlanta shot a hair better than the Pacers from the three-point line, 38%, to the Pacers 36%. So virtually identical in those ways. The Pacers just hit a few more of those, two-point shots. And when you look at free throws, the Pacers, that definitely was in their favor. They shot more efficient, 88% to Atlanta's 72%. So that definitely was a big thing there. Turnovers virtually the same. Indiana had 11. Atlanta had 12. Assists virtually the same, 35 for Indiana, 31 for Atlanta. Rebounds virtually the same as well. Blocks virtually the same. Steals, personal fouls, like everything was virtually the same. But really what it came down to was that strong first quarter for Indiana and really a couple more shots that the Pacers made over the Hawks. And that's really what it did come down to, which is kind of crazy to think about. I mean, it was very identical stat-wise in this game. And like I said, Trae Young is absolutely phenomenal. Him and Daniels had very strong days today. Young had 34 points, 17 assists in this game, so he's an absolute stud, no doubt about that. And, had some pretty good contributions overall from all of their starters, each guy 10-plus points on the Atlanta starting five. And then you had Matthews off the bench who had 14 and a few other guys that scored a few and did a few things from a rebound and assist type of thing as well. So, yeah, Atlanta had a pretty well-rounded game from their starting five and their bench as well. And Indiana also had a very strong day from their bench. Halliburton had 17. Miles Turner had 15. Pascal Siakam had 20. Andrew Nembhard had 19. Mathurin had 17. And then off the bench, they had two guys in particular that had very strong days off the bench. Obi Toppin, who really had a poor game a couple nights ago, really had a fantastic rebound type of game, right? He scored 18 points, 9 rebounds, 8 of 11 shooting. So he also had a block as well. So, I mean, Obi Toppin, great game of kind of some, great kind of bounce back game for Obi Toppin. He definitely needed this type of game. And then you have Nesmith off the bench who had 13 points and had a couple key, big shots there as well. I know he had that clutch shot near the end of that game that was definitely important for Indiana and in those 23 minutes. Obviously great to get Nembhard and Mathurin both back. They had, 30 and 25 minutes respectively and, right around 20 points for both of them. So, yeah, overall, guys, I think the Pacers, they shot the ball very well. Defense was a little bit lackluster in this game, but credit Atlanta. They shot extremely well in this game. But when it did matter, and you're going to have games like this, because, again, these are professional basketball teams. I don't care what their record is. You're going to have these games where it's a lot closer than it probably will be most nights, and this was one of those games for Indiana. But like I said, to their credit, they kept hanging on. They did what they needed to do to win this game, and that's what matters the most. A win is a win after all is said and done, so that is definitely the most important thing. And, guys, guess what? Don't look now. But the Indiana Pacers move up to the number 4 seed. They overtake the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks lost yesterday to the Spurs. Indiana jumps up to the number 4 seed, which is crazy. And that is just an absolute testament to this team. I mean, you saw earlier this season, people were questioning, is this team good at all? And to their credit, really ever since the beginning of this year, the Pacers have taken it to another level. Still have the best record in the NBA in 2025, so that's definitely a great thing there and definitely very helpful for why they've gotten to the point they are. And, when you look at it right now, guys, even though they're still, 3 or 4 games behind, the number 3 seed New York Knicks, it's still possible. It really is possible. And this fantastic run the Pacers have been on to the start of 2025, it isn't, it's definitely been a full team effort. It's been all the guys stepping up and performing when they need to in different moments. It's your big 3, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, but it's also guys like Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, all these guys. We can keep talking, all these guys that deserve credit for this team. And, Rick Carlisle said at the bench, man, the bench is so important, and the bench is such a big reason why the Pacers, night in and night out, they can get guys that can perform. And that's why you see, I think, also different guys stepping up and having big games when needed, right? When other guys have been, maybe needing a little bit of, some breaks or some minute, management a little bit. You can have some other guys who can step up. And we've talked about it before. Pacers, I believe, have the best bench in the NBA, and that's why we're seeing it now. Going in here to the month of February, All-Star break is going to be coming up. The Pacers, though, continue to win because they have a ton of capable players who can do that. So definitely a fantastic thing for the Pacers overall. I want to kind of show you here right now. So like I said, Pacers jump ahead to the number 4 seed above the Milwaukee Bucks, 27-20 now for Indiana. So right now they currently sit, behind the number 1 seed Cavs by 11.5 games. The Knicks are 7 games, and the Celtics are 5.5. So there's still a lot of games to be played. And if Indiana keeps this up, man, never know. Pretty much any of these seeds, they are in grasp. Especially number 3, number 2 seed. I don't know if you're going to catch the Cavs. The Cavs have been so good all year. They've only lost 9 games. But, the crazy thing is, guys, I do think it is doable, though, for the Pacers to even move up further in the East standings. But, of course, they got to keep it up. They got to keep winning. They got to keep doing what they're doing, relying on their bench, relying on their guys to figure it out, And it's a real testament to this team, like I said earlier, because they probably wouldn't have won this game, honestly, a year ago. It's just a testament to how this team has grown together. And it was a very young team last year, a lot of young guys trying to figure out their roles. But now it does seem like some guys have settled into some of these roles, and they are playing very, very good basketball right now. So, yeah, overall, guys, an ugly win for the Pacers, but a win nonetheless. So, Indiana moves to the number 4 seed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below here when it comes to the Pacers' latest win over the Atlanta Hawks. Pacers will play again on Monday, so be sure to look out for that coming up here in a couple days. But yeah, guys, Pacers right now, great win for them and continue on their winning ways. 11-2 in the year of 2025. So, guys, like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you haven't already, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you are in the loop when we drop fresh content just like this. Guys, we are almost to 1,000 subscribers, so if you would help us out, we would greatly appreciate that. But again, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much as always. And as always, guys, go Pacers.